Consciousness wanted to know itself, so it wrapped itself in light and shadow until even the body became a prayer. Welcome back, teachers. Today we explore the Koshas, the subtle architecture of being, the layers through which consciousness becomes you. The Koshas are the 5 luminous sheaths through which awareness experiences itself as human. The word kosha means sheath, layer, or covering. It's how consciousness condenses into body, breath, thought, wisdom, and bliss. Each tradition tells this story differently. The mystics of India call the layers koshas. The mystics of Persia call them veils. The mystics of the West spoke of spheres of the soul. All are describing the same truth, that spirit wears layers in order to see its own reflection. In yoga, this teaching comes from Ādi Śaṅkara, the philosopher mystic of the 8th century, and it remains one of yoga's most elegant maps for self-realization. Think of it like a lantern. Awareness is the flame, and the koshas are colored panes of glass. Each pane shapes the light, but the flame never changes. The practice of yoga, especially Yoga Nidra, is the slow polishing of those panes until the light shines through unobstructed. 8 centuries after the Buddha, the child Śaṅkara was born in southern India. By the age of 8, he was composing commentaries on the Vedas. He would become the voice of Vāta, non-duality, teaching that there are not many truths, but one truth, wearing countless disguises. He taught that the divine expresses itself through 3 bodies, the gross, the subtle, and the causal. These bodies hold the 5 koshas, the same way our Russian dolls nest inside of one another, each shaped by the same hand. Śaṅkara called his philosophy Advaita, non-duality, and reminded us that there's no separation between the dolls or the hand that carved them. All layers are the same consciousness, wearing different disguises, right? He was a fierce intellect and a radical mystic. His mission was to show us these bodies. So the 3 bodies through which one truth expresses itself. Sthula sarira, the gross body, made up of food and matter, the physical instrument of experience. The sukshma sarira, the subtle body, composed of energy, thought, and emotion. And finally, karana sarira, the causal body, the invisible force from which the other 2 arise, pure potential, the dreamless field of creation. Inside these 3 bodies are the 5 koshas. So they're not separate. They're all interconnected, like ripples on a single pond. We'll travel through each, and from the outermost to the innermost, as if descending from sunlight into deep sea, until we reach the stillness at the bottom. So here we go again with my Russian dolls. The outermost doll, the biggest, the most solid, brightly painted, is your Annamaya Ānandamaya, the physical body, the vehicle through which you move through the world. When you open that doll, you find another inside it, lighter, a little more delicate, the Pranamaya Kosha. This is the breath and energy body, which animates you from the inside. If you open that one, there's another. This is the Manamaya Kosha, the mind and emotion body, always changing. And inside that one, even a smaller one, the Vijnanamaya Kosha, intuitive, wise, quiet, and knowing. And still, at the very center, the smallest, and yet, in many ways, the most radiant, the Ānandamaya Kosha, the bliss body, pure consciousness itself. Each one of these layers depends on the others. When you practice yoga or Yoga Nidra, you aren't trying to separate the dolls. You're learning to open them one by one to find out what lives inside, and then to put them back together again with reverence, because you need them all. The outer to touch the world, and the inner to remember the soul. We'll start with Annamaya Kosha, the food sheath, the body as the first doorway. The element is earth, and to access it, we practice asana, nourishment. Mantra for this kosha can be, I am here. This is the outermost all. It's carved from earth itself. Every breath, every sip of water, every cell is the planet entering temporary human form. This body is not an obstacle to awakening. It is the altar. We invite our students to experience Yoga Nidra as a conversation with matter, to feel the mat beneath them, to hear the hum of the room, to honor digestion, sensation, gravity. To care for the body is to tend the temple that houses light. In Yoga Nidra, this layer grounds the practice. We begin with the body so that consciousness has a vessel sturdy enough to travel inward. We need the outer to get to the inner. This is the body you can touch. Bone, blood, skin, heartbeat. It's called Annamaya because everything physical you are was once nourishment drawn from the earth. Your body is not personal. It is the planet temporarily taking human shape. When you practice yoga, start here. Feel the breath, feel the mat beneath your feet. Sense how the air moves across your skin. Notice there are no hard borders between you and the room, between inhale and atmosphere. In this kosha, grounding becomes devotion. To care for your body is to honor Earth herself. Ask your students, what does it mean to belong to matter? Invite them into their bodies. This is the beginning of embodiment, awareness inhabiting its first home. Just inside is the next kosha pranamaya, the energy sheath, the river beneath the skin. The element is water. Practices include pranayama, flow, subtle movement, mantra, I am alive. We move inward to this current that animates the body, prana. If Annamaya is form, then pranamaya is movement. It's the shimmer of vitality that makes the heart beat, the impulse that becomes breath, emotion, inspiration. If the first doll is the temple, the second one is the incense smoke swirling inside. Prana is vitality, the life current that animates matter. It moves through thousands of subtle channels called nadis, weaving a luminous anatomy, invisible to the eye but felt in every breath. When prana flows freely, we feel creative, clear, awake. When it's obstructed, we feel anxious, fragmented, drained. Breath work, gentle movement, Yoga Nidra all purify this river. As awareness rides the inhale and exhale, energy recognizes itself into coherence. It reorganizes itself into coherence. This is the kosha that teaches surrender, life breathing itself through you. Prana flows through nadis, rivers of light that weave the subtle body. And when those rivers are clear, we're awake and creative. When they're dammed by stress or trauma, the whole system stagnates. In your teaching, let breath be this bridge. Invite awareness to ride each inhale like a wave cresting the shore, and each exhale as the wave retreating. This is where Yoga Nidra begins to regulate the nervous system, turning chaotic energy into rhythmic coherence. Pause. Feel the distinction between breathing and being breathed. That is pranayama, pranamaya awareness, the shift from doing to allowing. I'll mention that yogis call it prana. In Japan, they call it ki, like Reiki. In Chinese medicine, TCM, they call it qi, Tai Chi. It's pure energy, the subtle body, and it is powerful. Just inside the Pranamaya Kosha is Manomaya, the sheath of the mind, the fire of the mind. The element is fire. We practice mantra and mindfulness. And the mantra here is, I am aware of my mind. Here resides manas, the thinking, sensing mind. It's the seat of our stories, the theater of our likes and dislikes, the restless interpreter of experience. This next doll glows from within, painted with emotions, thoughts, stories, and memories. Manomaya Kosha, the mind field. It's ruled by fire. It digests sensory experience and it turns it into meaning. Here, our preferences, our judgments, our moods, our memories, most of us mistake this layer for our whole self. But when we sit in meditation or Yoga Nidra, we realize the mind is just the storyteller, not the story. You can guide your students to witness the mental flame without touching it. Let your thoughts dance, but don't step into the fire. Over time, the flame steadies. The light of the mind becomes illumination rather than distraction. Fire governs this layer by digesting sensory input, the way Agni, digestive fire, digests food. Too much fire and thoughts burned uncontrolled. Too little, we lose clarity. The mind is not the enemy. It's an instrument. Our task is not to silence it, but to learn to listen differently. Mantra and mindfulness cool and focus this kosha, turning chatter into clarity. Yoga chitta smriti nirodha, the silencing of the mind stuff. Invite your class to notice thoughts as clouds drifting through the sky of awareness. They're weather, not identity. Pema Chodron says that famously. You are the sky. Everything else is weather. In Yoga Nidra, we let the mind speak, welcome its images and sensations, and then guide awareness beneath the dialogue into the space where the mind dissolves into witnessing. Just beneath Manomaya is the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the wisdom sheath, the winds of knowing. The element is air. Practices include contemplation, journaling, svadhyaya, or inquiry. The mantra is, I trust my inner vision. If the mind is the storyteller, if Manomaya is the storyteller, Vijnana is the seer, the quiet discernment beneath emotion and noise. It's the realm of intuition, conscience, insight. Peel back Manomaya and reach the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the intuitive body, where insight replaces reaction. The layer doesn't think, it knows. It's the air that carries fragrance, invisible yet unmistakable. Here we encounter the faculty Śaṅkara called buddhi, discriminative wisdom. It's where we can ask, what is real? What serves? What needs to dissolve? When this kosha awakens, intuition becomes a steady companion rather than an occasional visitor. When awareness reaches the Vijnanamaya Kosha, we stop asking, what should I do? And begin asking, what is true? The breath becomes more subtle. Thoughts feel transparent. It's the space where creative ideas are born whole. and inner guidance speaks softly but unmistakably. During meditation or nidra, invite reflection questions. What wisdom wants to emerge through me? Notice how intuitive knowing often feels like expansion rather than argument. Here, the buddhi, the higher intellect, becomes luminous. We glimpse that consciousness is intelligent, self-organizing, compassionate by nature. Invite your students to pause and listen to their own deep intelligence. When the mind grows quiet, your inner voice grows clear. And finally, Ānandamaya kosha, the bliss sheath. The element is ether. We practice bhakti, metta, service, gratitude. The mantra is, I am love itself. Beyond intellect lies a softness that cannot be studied. Ananda, pure joy. It's not emotional pleasure, but the quiet happiness of being. At the very center of every doll is one so light and so little it almost vanishes. Ānandamaya, the sheath of bliss, the sky that contains all weather. It's not pleasure, it's not escape, it's the natural state of consciousness when everything extraneous falls away. In this kosha, there's no doing, no seeker, no seeking, only awareness aware of itself. Awareness aware of itself. The experience of unity. Yoga. This is what the sages call Satchitananda. Being, consciousness, bliss. Sat, being. Chit, consciousness, Ananda, bliss. Satchitananda. Yoga Nidra gives us a doorway into the sheath. For a few sacred moments, the body sleeps, the mind quiets, and we remember what we've always been. It's what remains when doing ceases, when you realize that awareness has never left itself. In this kosha, love ceases to have an object. You are the field in which love arises. Devotion, art, selfless service, seva, all feed this layer. It's the fragrance of the soul fully awake. Let the breath open you from the inside. Let gratitude move through every cell. Feel how love expands without needing a reason. In Yoga Nidra, this is the moment before the final dissolution. The body sleeping, the mind silent, the witness radiant. You have become the light itself. Beyond the 5 dolls lives the causal body. This is the artisan's hand that carved them all. This is the silence before sound, the pause between breaths, the mystery from which creation emerges. At the root of all the koshas lies this causal body, Karuna Sarira. Śaṅkara described the 3 frequencies within this body: the personal soul, the Atma, your vibration, your Dharma, the spark of source carrying memory and purpose. We look for the Atma by pausing in meditation and asking, what is my deepest desire? How can I serve it with grace? The second frequency within the causal body is the collective soul, the archetypal field. This is the mythic reservoir where gods and goddesses and ancestors live, where the courage of Virabhadraha, the steadiness of the mountain, or the radiance of the sun awaken through you. In asana, you become the archetype. In storytelling, you remember you were never separate from them. And finally, the universal domain, I can't talk today, Brahman, undifferentiated awareness, the ocean in which all souls are waves, the dreamer of the cosmos, Brahma. Here, you as the practitioner experience samadhi, bliss, consciousness aware of itself. In Shavasana, when awareness dissolves into the vastness and then slowly returns, you're reenacting the entire cycle of creation. Manifestation, dissolution, rebirth. Each kosha also has an Ayurvedic resonance. Annamaya is earth, Kapha, nourishment and stability. Pranamaya, water, Vāta, movement, rhythm. Manomaya, fire, Pitta, mental digestion and clarity. Vijnanamaya, air, Sattva, spacious wisdom. And finally, Ānandamaya, ether, beyond Sattva, harmony, transparency, equanimity. When a kosha is neglected, the whole system leans out of balance. Yoga Nidra restores elemental harmony, reweaving body, energy, mind, and spirit into a single field of coherence. Invite your students to see imbalance not as a failure, but as feedback. A kosha calling for attention. Through conscious rest, Yoga Nidra harmonizes those elements from the inside out. Much like I don't like to say a chakra is blocked, we look at the excess or the need to add. This is much the same. It's important not to look at ourselves as broken, not as failure. Imbalance isn't failure, it's feedback. Every Yoga Nidra script is a pilgrimage home. You as a teacher guide awareness as Śaṅkara mapped consciousness. You'll guide them from their body, Annamaya. Feel their body resting on the earth, to their prana maya kosha, sensing the breath flowing like tide, into their manomaya kosha, witnessing thought as weather passing through sky, into vijnanamaya, abiding in the clear knowing beneath mind, and finally to Ānandamaya, dissolving into the radiance of being, and then returning, carrying that light back through every layer into the world. This is the ascent and descent of Nidra, awareness remembering itself in form. In modern language, we might say that each kosha corresponds to a layer of the nervous system. Annamaya kosha is a physical regulation, safety in the body. Pranamaya is the vagal rhythm of breath and heart. Manomaya is emotional processing. Vijnanamaya is cognitive reframing and intuitive insight. And Ānandamaya is coherence, the sense of wholeness that arises when all of the systems synchronize. So yes, this is metaphysics and it's neuroscience. Awareness heals because awareness integrates. The koshas are a blueprint for wholeness, both spiritual and biological. Contemporary neuroscience calls this interoceptive integration. Somatic psychology calls it the window of tolerance. Śaṅkara simply called it truth. Each kosha represents or corresponds to a level of regulation, body safety, emotional flow, cognitive meaning, intuitive coherence, spiritual connection. When we rest consciously, these layers begin to dialogue again, and the system heals itself. So yes, Yoga Nidra is mystical, but it's also neurobiological compassion in motion. Rest organizes the brain around wholeness. Awareness becomes the medicine. When you teach the koshas, remind your students, you're not trying to transcend your layers. you're learning to inhabit them with reverence. Guide them to notice where they live most often, which doll they live in most often. Are they stuck in the mind's chatter? Are they ungrounded in the body? Are they disconnected from joy? Every layer is sacred. The practice is to travel through them consciously, to live from the innermost out rather than from the outermost in. So as we close, we'll think of the river returning to the sea. From food to breath, from thought to bliss, each layer opens towards the center, and the center is you. These stacking dolls remind us that we don't find the soul by throwing away the body. We find it by opening what's already here. The koshas are not walls to escape, but doorways to remember, and each one is a love letter from consciousness itself. The journey is not about transcending the body, but seeing through it until body, breath, mind, and soul reveal the same essence. When you teach this, speak as Śaṅkara spoke, with reverence, precision, joy. Invite your students to travel inward, not to leave the world, but to return to it with awareness. By the end of a Yoga Nidra practice, the dolls nest back together, right? Consciousness fully embodied, spirit fully at home. This one's going to give me trouble today. All right, it's close. Spirit fully at home in matter. When you rise from the mat, you're not escaping the world. You are the world, awake within itself. So let's close together. Close your eyes. Om Ānandamaya Namah. I bow to the bliss that I am. Om Ānandamaya Namah. I bow to the bliss that I am and to every layer that made it possible to find my way home. Feel your body, Annamaya, resting on earth. Sense the breath, pranamaya, the river of life moving through you. Watch your mind, manomaya, flicker and fade like firelight. Trust your intuition, vijnanamaya, the wind that carries insight. Rest in bliss, ānandamaya, the spacious sky behind all clouds. And now, let all these layers dissolve into the sea of stillness. Om Ānandamaya Namah. I bow to the bliss that I am. In our next section, we'll discover the 10 steps of Yoga Nidra. And until then, Om Ānandamaya Namah. I bow to the bliss that I am. See you next time.